Have you guys ever heard of the phrase cosmic joke? Like this, all this is just a big cosmic joke, or that there's some cosmic joke underlying reality, and that all of this is actually very hilarious, and God's up there, you know, he has a sixth sense of humor. I love that. I think like the punchline is, oh, we all die in the end. I guess I do find that funny. I get it. I get the joke. Well, maybe not entirely, but like I feel like I get it in some ways. It makes me laugh sometimes. This idea that we're just like, we're tromping along, we're doing all this stuff, we have no idea what's going on, we think we know what's going on, we're pretending we know what's going on. We're, building our little houses and getting our little jobs and, raising our kids and eating our hamburgers, and all the while pretending like we're not all at some point just going to perish. Like it's just all for, just dead, gone, out of here. And you can take that really seriously, you can get real upset about that, because it's like, well, what's the point then? Why even try? Why even bother? And I used to be an existentialist. My life riddled with existential crises. One big existential crisis, I swear I was like 4, thinking about death, thinking about, wow, we're all gonna die. Isn't that pointless? What's the point? And I still struggle with sometimes that. It's like, there are certain things that I value, certain things that I love to do, that I don't have the time to do it. I need more money to do it, all these things, it's very frustrating. And sometimes I get back into that existential crisis mode where I'm like, what is even the point of any of this? Why? Why bother? But then I go outside and I see some leaves and a critter. I see some squirrels playing around, or birds screaming at each other, or whatever, My dogs will do something hilarious. I'll get a real good snuggle time session in with my honey. I never call her that. Only on this video. I don't know, little things will sort of remind me that this is not nearly as serious as I take it. It is, it's terminal. I think Alan Watts said that. I'm sure I got that from Alan Watts. He says, life is very serious, it's very terminal. It's terminal. We're all gonna die at the end. So if everybody's going through the same stuff, we're all playing this funny game, wearing our little masks, going around being whoever we think we are. Pretending like death isn't just like right around the corner, man. I don't know, I find that comforting. Do you not find that comforting? What I do find comforting is the knowledge that, if you spend a lot of time outside, touching grass isn't just because, you're supposed to go outside. Like, it's good for your mental health or whatever. No, it teaches you. You learn things when you spend a lot of time outside. You learn about the nature of existence, because that is existence in its purest form. If you go out into nature, a tree isn't pretending to be something other than a tree. A tree isn't wearing a mask of a flower. Well, it could have flowers, I guess. Don't get too bound up in my specifics here. But a tree is not pretending to be a fox. A fox is not pretending to be a bunny rabbit. A bunny rabbit is not sometimes they might pretend to be a bush so nobody sees them. But, you know, that's all part of their natural thing, you know? They're not doing it because they hope the other bunnies think they're cool or something. And so that's why, you know, you go out into these wild spaces and it's a pure example of existence in a way, you know? Like it's not bogged down by society's expectations. It's not bogged down by our specific definitions of things. You know, things are just being. They're existing. They're doing what they do. Trees are growing. Plants are growing. Foxes are running around. Did you know foxes like to sprint places? I did this one fox that I've seen go by all the time. He's not being chased by anything. He's not chasing anything. And he doesn't look stressed. He's just like running. He just likes to run. He enjoys it. And this is the shit that you find out when you spend time in nature. If you spend time in nature, you learn things and you think, well, why do I care about the fact that foxes like to run places? Because it's cool. Because it's cool. And it is life. It is life. And that's not the only thing, you know, that's just a small example, of course. What you really learn is you learn that everything dies, and from that, everything grows. And so you really stop villainizing death. Death is not the bad guy. Death is not a bad guy at all. Death is the other side of life. It's the other side of the coin. You cannot have life without death. And I know this, if you're a gardener, you also know this. Your compost pile. Do you know your compost pile is? It's a pile of death. You know, you put dead leaves, you put dead plants, you put dead, you know, you put your food waste, you put these, you know, things that are dying and decaying and rotting away. And they get eaten by other beings, and they get turned into soil. And then the soil, you take your soil and you plant stuff in it. And when you have a really good compost, man, your plants are so happy. If you don't have a good compost, your plants are trash. They're sad, they're spindly, they can't get enough nutrients. And what you need in your garden, you have to have death. I know I've I've preached this before about how gardens are full of death. And so, if, you know, the places where you find the most life, you also find the most death. And that's not a mistake. That's simply how it works. That's the mechanics of things. It's the mechanics of things. And if it is the mechanics of things, if it is the way of nature, if the tree dies, the leaf dies, the animals die, the bunny dies so the fox can live, the cow dies so you can live, so you can eat your hamburger. It is the way of things. So why should you believe that when you die, you're just going to boop, not exist anymore? Why should you believe that in some way you are not then going to be transmuted into some other matter, something else? Because you will. Even if you are a staunch atheist, even if you are 100% do not believe in any of the spiritual mumbo jumbo, your physical body will transform into something that will then give life. Your cells, the cells of your body, will become something else. It just happens. It's just what happens. These leaves, I'm sitting on leaves that are actively decaying, and they're going to make, they're a lovely mulch right now. They're protecting my plants, and they're going to make a lovely soil bed for me to grow new things next year. And I find all that very exciting. So this time of year is great for me. You know, we just had the Day of the Dead, we had Halloween, and I hope you were able to get some time sort of reflecting on the change of the seasons and stepping into a time of slowing down, a time of more rest if possible. You know, if you're able to sort of schedule your days based off of the cycles of the year, which most of us are unable to do that, but any little way that you can sort of infuse more rest into this time, take it. take that time. It is really healthy to, as far as in my experience, it has been very healthy to try and listen to my body when it is tapping into all of these seasonal changes. And this is a big one, changing from all of that energy, all of that growth of summer and spring, and then the death. It's, we just went through the death of all of that. And from there's a lot of really beautiful ways that we can navigate this time in a way that will sort of, be spiritually fulfilling. So I hope that you spend some time pondering death and thinking about how hilarious it is that we're all going to die. All right, let me know in the comments, do you get the cosmic joke? Do you think it's hilarious? Do you think God has a sick sense of humor? Did you listen to a lot of Depeche Mode? All right, thank you for listening. I'm the disreputable Reverend. Disreputable Reverend Hannah Winters.